Welcome back to the second part of our Field to the Freezer game processing series. So I've already showed you how to take the front quarters and the hind quarters off of this deer. So now what I'm going to do is get right into the good stuff. We're going to take out these inner loins, and then I'm going to show you how to take these back straps out and then peel those apart and cut those into steaks in a couple different options. Again, I'm using the Butcher Light series outdoor edges. It's really handy to have everything right here on my side. So I'm going to start off, and I'm just going to peel these flank portions out of here, and you just follow right up to the end of the rib cage to expose these better. And there's some trim meat here that we can go back in and clean up a little bit later and get some burger trim, sausage, any of that kind of stuff that you want to make. But there's a little bit there once we clean it up. So I take both of those off from there, and now you can see I've really exposed these inner loins. Now these things are in here, it's real slick just to come into the edge of them, and again a little bit of slight pressure and go against the top of the backbone, or the bottom of the backbone it would be, and these will just kind of pull out of there with a little bit of pressure and a sharp knife, and they come all right out in one piece just like that. The most tender part of the deer right there. So that's how we get those out of there. So now we're going to go in and peel these back straps out of here. So there's a bone that comes in, this H bone right here that goes down to the vertebrae all the way across the back. And you can feel the point of that if you just use your finger right there. So I'll run my knife down the edge of that to the top of this blade on the backbone, and then just follow this all the way to the neck. I'll make a straight cut across here, and then I'll come back and cut. There's a shelf right here, and I'll follow this to the ribs right along the top of the ribs where this shelf, this whole section lays in here just like that. A little bit of pressure with my left hand and just peeling it all out just like that. So there's backstrap number one, and we'll flip them over here and show you how to come in. Same thing, to repeat the process. Find that point above that hip, come to the top of the blade, follow it all the way down to the neck, make a straight line cut there, and then cut against the ribs, and we get back to our cut here, and just a little bit of pressure here I've got held with my thumb, and we'll come in and just peel this whole back strap out of there just like that. All right, so I'm going to move this carcass out of the way here for a second. So now, this is another really cool part that makes it easy, something that we've learned over the years. There's just, if you grab on the back side of these straps, you'll see a part that kind of separates. And once you just kind of pull on it, and most of this is that back fat, and there's a little bit of muscle in there that we'll trim up and clean up later. We're just going to put that with our trim pile here. This will get cleaned up a little bit later. Again, pulls off. You'll pull some of this fat off from here to get to this blue skin layer here, and I'm going to show you how to take that off real slick. Again, we'll put that with our trim pile to clean up here a little bit later, but I want to get to this part here is the most important. So I like to go through and kind of clean these up a little bit, and again, we'll use any of that for trim. Clean off any of the bit of fat. Your venison fat is where your gaminess comes from. Any of this blue skin, this tougher stuff, works great for trim meat, for burger and salami, or whatever else you'd like to do. But I like to take these and kind of like flaying a fish. So I come in on the end of the loin with about a 20-degree angle on my blade, and I can grab that and hold it against that blue skin, and that whole layer of that tallow will come right out of there just like that. And we'll discard that later. But now we've got a pretty clean cut here, a little bit of fat. We'll do the same thing to the other side, this blue skin that's on the top of here, and we'll just, again, clean up any of this gristle that lays here to get rid of it. There's a little bit of a tendon right there. We'll pull this piece off. I like to clean this up and square this off a little bit. It just makes a nicer looking steak. Goes into our trim pile. Again, come down to the end of this loin, A little bit of blue skin there we'll clean up. Come in and hold that knife at about a 20-degree angle, and then just hold that with your left hand, and then slide right down that blued meat, just like that. So now we've got two nice clean loins. We've got them cleaned up, and now there's a couple different ways that you can cut them. So you can do a butterfly cut, which I'll show you, and you can do a regular cut, just depending on its preference and how you want it. It's a smaller steak, so the butterfly cut helps give you a better portion size steak. So you take your knife and cut halfway through, and then go to your next cut, and then you can make a full cut across, and this gives you a nice butterfly. You know, basically it doubles the size of your steak, just like that. Or we can take and run a full cut and do a chop size. You know, we like to cut these around 1/2 inch. These work nice for frying up. Several different ways that you can cook these. Or in some cases, some people like to either third them or halve them, and this will help. If they package it, depends on the meal that they're having, they can have a full piece of meat like this, and when it goes into the freezer in this whole form like this, you cut it out when you go to prepare it, you've got less exposure to the meat. Rather than having freezer exposure to each individual piece, if you get any of that, it's all on this one piece and you can cut it up. It just makes for a little bit better product in the end. So that's another way that you can do it there, just like that. Now, the inner tenderloins, we're just going to go ahead and clean those up. Just get rid of some of this fat and anything that's got in here from field dressing the animal, and just make sure they're nice and clean. A little bit of blood from doing the field dressing, but just kind of clean them up like that, real nice. And we're just going to leave those whole. Those are a pretty small chunk of meat, and we can cook them up, and if we want to cut them when we fry them or whatever. And again, just cleaning up this fat. Trimming it up there, get rid of some of this dried blood, any of that stuff that you don't want in there. So that concludes our second video of the series. In this next series, we're going to come back and we're going to show you how to break down the front shoulders and take apart the neck meat. There's several different things that we can do with the neck meat, and we'll take you into that. We look forward to your suggestions and comments and any feedback that you have. We hope that this series is going to make you a better wild game processor to provide this nice, lean, clean protein for your families.